I just wanted to kind of touch on the elephant in the room, kind of what's been going on in the arm wrestling community. And that's far as East versus West with Engin Terzi. And my question is for Paul Linn. I kind of want to just, get your thoughts on this. And I don't want to get into like the whole negative aspect of it all, but some advice, constructive advice I was trying to give on my rebuttal back to Engin was that I think that the East versus West should have a PR guy, somebody that deals with the social media and kind of the day to day and kind of let Engin concentrate and focus on what he is so good at. And that is, behind the scenes, setting the matches with the best arm wrestling stars in on the planet. I think that's his strong point. But as far as it goes as a PR stance, I think he shouldn't be allowed on social media and all. And when I made this statement, a lot of people were saying that they thought you would be the perfect person as the PR guy for East versus West. So I wanted to first ask you, would that be something that you would consider if Engin came to you with that position? And second, what is your thoughts on having a PR guy for the East versus West organization?
All right, so yeah, the PR thing first and foremost. Like I think, like in any organization, especially when they get big, it's not necessarily even having a PR guy, but a PR team. You know, it's usually a group of people or a group of individuals who advise on these types of things. We're just talking about from the business perspective or the other sporting, the other aspects of the sporting world. So I mean, for sure, as the sport grows, promotion grows that would be hugely beneficial because at the end of the day, the amount of work that Engin is doing, to put these events together, one after the other, stacked on top of each other, thinking 3 events out, trying to make matches while other matches haven't happened yet, dealing with all kinds of different financial stuff and balancing things and the stressors. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm amazed that Engin has done as much as he's done. I'm amazed that he has the emotional energy and the capacity to continue moving forward. And I admire the man for that. That said, for sure, I think like a PR team approach would be beneficial. Like I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I mean, I think as a whole, um, if the sport gets where we want the sport to go, like it's going to have to be part of it. Now, the league itself is always going to have a face. So, like Dana White is the face of UFC. He is not the overall owner, but he is the president and he is the face. Dana is arguably not the best PR guy either. But when it comes to the interviews and things like that, like the got to get in front of the camera and speak for the league, like I believe that that's Engin Terzi. But like if he, if I were in his position and someone offered me, hey, we got these people that can, or this business or this company that can handle all the social media promotion, I would love that because I don't have the emotional capacity for these types of things. Which leads me into your second question. If Engin asked me to be the PR guy, I mean, it's very hard for me to tell Engin no to anything because I love what he's doing for the sport and I love the dude. And he's become a very close friend of mine. And I would do just about anything for him. So I guess I would accept, but I would beg him to pick someone else because I don't think that I have the time or the emotional capacity to do it. If I did, like if I was blessed enough to be self-employed or stress free or independently wealthy, then yeah, I think I would gladly do it. But I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to keep up with the job. But I'm glad to help in any way that I possibly can. And I've told Engin that I'm already doing a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily ask for and can be a lot of work at times. But I'm good with doing that, for the greater good because I do see the bigger picture. And I think regardless of some of the drama and stuff that's going on, I think that the sport as a whole, through all the promotions, regardless of where they rank in, as far as revenue and viewership, I think that every single piece of the sport is on a positive trajectory right now. Regardless of people want to criticize arm gods for being too off the wall or whatever, everything is going in the right direction. You know, if and I think I think as a whole, there's a lot of perceived competition that I think is erroneous. Like, I think that the sport itself will progress with whatever the driving force is. You know, it'll be a trickle down effect, and every promotion will benefit in the long run. And I think that quote unquote competition, meaning like other promotions, let's say High Five, Arm Gods, AW, whatever. I think all of these things are providing an opportunity for arm wrestlers to compete and for more eyes to get on the sport, right? So if that's the case, there's two types of competition. There's healthy competition and unhealthy competition. If I'm coaching football and I got a linebacking core and I got my two inside linebackers, I want them training in a group together and I want them competing with each other the entire offseason. I want them driving each other's gains up. And I want them doing it in a healthy, positive, productive way where they both make each other better and iron sharpens iron. I don't want them in a scenario where one is hating on the other one, sabotaging, or trying to pull the other one down because we're working for a greater good, and that's team success. That's betterment of a team. So when you have healthy competition in preparation for competition or growth, it's great for every party, for all parties involved. But when there's any type of negativity or like, like the competition becomes to where we want someone else to fail or to make ourselves look or whatever the case may be, or we want to bring someone else down for whatever, it manifests into like a cancer. So I think like that's why I take the approach I do. I think the sport is moving in a tremendous direction. I like all the promotions. I like the stuff that people think is goofy or off the wall because I think there's a time and a place for everything. So I think if we can put the petty stuff behind us and just understand that we're all working towards the betterment of the sport, then I think we'll all succeed together. And I don't know, man. My PR rant's done, but I'm very happy about where the sport is. And no, I don't want to be the PR guy.
You
But
can't not be the PR guy with you've just given that speech.
I'm passionate about the stuff. I really am. And it's like getting started when I got started. Seeing new pullers like Reichard jump in the scene. Like we're going great places, man. And like let's do it together. Let's stay positive and productive and take another step every day.
Yeah, let me first start off. The reason why I brought it up to you as far as the PR guy, because I also know Engin, and I know that if Engin is gonna give somebody that position, he's gonna want somebody really close to him. And I know that's you, as far as with Engin. And as far as a team, that's what I would say to another person, be like, yo, you need a PR team. But knowing how Engin is and keeping a tight leash, I don't see him opening up to a group of people and letting them run their stuff. I think that would be a little too overwhelming at first. So I think, starting off with you is a step in the right direction. Now you could start like with your PR stuff and kind of smoothing things over. That's kind of like where I was looking for that. I'm not trying to give you 10 different jobs because I know, how dedicated you're going to have to be Engin's PR guy. I know that's going to be a little stressful on you, but I think for overall East versus West organization, I think that's a step in the right direction that I would love to see happen and encourage. And part of the reason why I believe that is just like the difference in perspective of cultures. I think that's kind of where a lot of disagreements and miscommunication, falls upon. I don't think it's really, any kind of like enemies really. I think it's just people understanding differences in cultures. And when you look at a Western perspective things, it's more of like a free speech and more of like everybody giving their opinions and open to constructive criticism, where when you come to the East, it's not so open like that. And I think that's kind of where we're in that kind of gray area, and people are taking things the wrong way, where some of the Westerners are kind of trying to help out and give their opinion, and I think that opinion is kind of being taken as like an attack, and it wasn't really meant to be. So I think having a PR guy such as yourself, somebody that understands the Western perspective of a culture, I think that would kind of clear things up, for people. And just to give a quick example of what I'm talking about, Engin's kind of PR move after, this whole situation was he had kind of all the top guys of the Easterners to go make this like video, and it was like made into a collage, and it just gave off these vibe of like something you would see come out in North Korea, where it's like everybody's like, oh, Engin's integrity, and like 10 people saying that in a row, and then them looking off the camera like, did I do that right? Like, it just, that didn't come off as a very smart PR move. And I think that's what I'm kind of talking about with the different culture perspectives. So I just hope, this being said, it's not taking as me attacking anybody. It's me of just trying to clear things up,
No,
and
this is positive and productive, right? Where
yep.
it's that's the difference. It's above the line, below the line, so above the line discussion. I think when it comes to that, like with the people, putting videos out, like I think that kind of snowballed. I know, like I put a video after the East versus West qualifier finals because we had some drama around that. And I saw some of the stuff that was going online. Mine was definitely unprompted. I know Derek's was. I know Justin Bishop's was. Now I don't know. I can't speak for everybody else because I haven't spoken to all of them. But I think some of the pullers who've gotten to meet Engin firsthand and kind of know him, they'll come to defense for him. Because of the loyalty that he's shown us directly. And I think for me personally, I think you're spot on when it comes to the culture difference and stuff, and sometimes how things are perceived. For me personally, I just have to know a person. Like if I know, this is what makes this person tick. This is what I expect them to do based on their personality type. I can usually work with anybody. Unfortunately, the general public, especially through social media, written form and videos at times, people can get the wrong perspective. So I see it. I know that that's definitely something like you're onto something. I think, and is there a way around it? Yeah, I mean, I think you're onto something. A PR approach, eventually down the road when it gets big enough. I don't think that's a terrible idea by any means. And I think I think where we're at right now, I don't know if it's yet completely warranted to like maybe hire a company or anything like that. But yeah, I think a lot of things get lost in communication. So you're spot on.
One other suggestion I wanted to throw out there for you guys was, I wanted to see if we could get an East versus West printed out, written out rule set. Something that, everybody can just Google up and they could have access to it. So, I think that would clear up a lot of, when we're doing these like satellite tournaments in North
100%.
America,
Spot
rather
on.
than have to dealing with phone calls. And I know you guys don't want to deal with that
Yeah,
either, and I think that would kind of just clear up everybody for everybody.
yeah.
There'd be no more discrepancies as
You-
well.
You're 100% spot on. And like I said, like when it comes to some of those discrepancies, and there was more than one. There was only one that really got ran with, but I know there was others. Where there was gray areas, things that we didn't know. That falls on me for not getting the answers. If I'm the title of the director or whatever, regardless of how many people I have helping me, at the end of the day, that falls on my shoulders.
Well,
So I
Paul,
need
no,
to.
it really doesn't fall on your shoulders. I don't want you always to take the blame for
No, no, no,
everything.
no. It's good.
It
I
should be a
thank
rule
you.
set. It should be a rule set though, that so that you can then go from that. You didn't have the proper tools to be able to make the calls,
I,
and the calls
I
aren't
should
in
have
your.
gone with it
Yeah.
because here's the reality of it. For the East, apparently they do have a rule set for the East qualifiers. I should have got that or generated one or publicized one. Unfortunately, there were a few things that I overlooked, didn't anticipate popping up. And which is why I said, and Sarah was like, I don't want to blame you, Paul. I'm not blaming you. And I was like, no, 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 this is my fault. This is something, had I had the foresight, I could have prevented. So in reality, it got blown into a whole bunch of others, and it just ballooned out and got a lot of people really invested in what actually happened. But at the end of the day, it was an oversight in predicting situations that would have happened where I could have prevented that by getting the information ahead of time. But I'm a human being. I'm living, I'm learning, I'm doing my best. So overall, I think, even with some of those snafus and stuff, I still think we're moving in a great direction with the qualifiers. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of anxiety and stress around it. But if it gets us where we need to go, which means the more opportunities that we have for the pullers around the entire globe, the better that we can bring and give opportunities for people to win their way, rather than to wish their way onto that stage, you know? So I think it's a good thing. It's it's not, we were able to give away a good amount of cash, and there were a lot of promoters who used a lot of things out there, so each one of those tournaments, those qualifiers, they took money off the top to put together for the prize money. We did that with no sponsorship. So there was no real money endeavor in this tournament. I didn't make a dime, So it's one of those things that we're doing this really for it's a labor of love. Now, obviously, there's a lot of work involved, but at the end of the day, if we continue to progress and get more pullers out there and these new guys opportunities to go ahead and show what they got, not just on the arm wrestling table, but as far as character development and charisma. I think with the live streams that we had Robert Kelly helping out. He did an amazing job. Things are just getting better each iteration that we do.
Oh yeah, and what can we expect coming in August? We know that East vs. West is making their first tour over to North America. They're going to be over in Florida with the help of Chance Shaw. Are you going to be part of that? You're going to be helping as well?
I will be competing, and I will be helping. We are going to do a large tournament beforehand that will cater to the new arm wrestlers and amateurs as well, because I think that's a piece that we're missing. We're doing these qualifiers and we're having amateurs and stuff, but having the opportunity to not just go and be a fan, but also be able to compete, but also compete at your experience level, I think is something that East versus West needs to kind of absorb more. Let's figure out what kind of options can we get to incentivize new arm wrestlers to progress. So I will be involved in the organization of that tournament. I'll be competing at that tournament. To me, this event is the biggest one yet, and not because of the names and matches that are on it, because this is potentially a make or break point for if we truly get the opportunity to have more East versus West here on U.S. soil or Canadian soil, which I think if we can pull it off is going to be a huge step forward as far as marketability, viewerships, potential sponsors, all these things that are needed to garner organically to grow this sport. So I have a lot of stress around this because I think, if we don't knock it out of the park, we could potentially take a step backwards. But I'm hoping we get to a point where in the next year or so, we see 2 or 3 over here on our home soil. And not just because of the growth in the sport, but I want to be able to cut weight at home.
Oh, hell yeah, man. So as the new PR manager for East vs. West, am I banned from showing up in August to Florida? Because I want to get my VIP package, bro, and I want to be there supporting. So, Engin, if you're listening, I hope I don't get a phone call like Paul Linn gets a phone call. Get him out of there. I want to come there and buy a VIP seat, man. So
I got fired before I did my first hour of work.
Well, I'm throwing that out there, man. I want to buy my VIP seat. So, Engin, if you're listening, man, hopefully you're not gonna ban me from there, man. I wanna come and be part of this for sure.
You gotta go, man. Everybody gotta go, man. This should be, if nothing more, it should be the biggest arm wrestling hangout on the planet. It should be the coolest, most fun time. There'll be a tournament beforehand. We're talking about trying to figure out how we can set up the actual competitors for the main stage stuff to be able to present the awards to the people who win. Obviously, the pro class in that pre-tournament is going to be a qualifier. And not only is it going to be a qualifier, but you're going to pull in front of these guys directly. So let your light shine. If you're coming, and if nothing more, man, we're going to have an after pool. We're going to have a party. It's going to be great. Like, why would you not come? All the flights are cheap to Florida, too. So that's
I live over there, man. That's home for me. So I love Florida for real.